asset mapping and data. One, two, three. Okay, so some of your folks weren't here, so it's going to be kind of a tutorial. He's going to take his time, but if not, we have this recording. So we're going to record this session. So I would imagine I'm going to also have questions, and I'm also going to be learning with y'all. So after today, we'll send you guys the link of the recording of today's session. It's a lot of data stuff, using laptops. And if you guys get lost, don't worry, just try to stay up to pace. So this is another way of us doing data collection, asset mapping. There's asset mapping, mapping your hood part 2. So before we start, we're going to do an icebreaker and activity. Mr. File also going to lead us in that. But I also want to introduce Ivan Paz. You guys been in last month. So raise your hand again if you're the hub, if you guys are starting your cohorts. So Mark Park, King, Alta, Winchell, okay, Jackson.
No, where's our target dates are April.
In April. Okay, so Mr. Paz is going to start his academy pretty soon. And so he's going to do a lot of recruitment to get residents to a boot camp, 6 to 8 weeks, 8 weeks. And so as he does his recruitment, he's probably going to tap in with your networks to see if your residents are going through your trainings. He's going to filter out, ask them if they are interested in going through his academy. So think about your guys, you're kind of another boot camp as well. 1.0, he's going to take it to 2.0, right? And so he'll connect with you all. He also might sit in, if you guys are okay with that. He might want to sit in some of your guys' sessions, your cohort meetings, if you guys are okay with that. He'll be there just hanging out, checking out what you guys are doing. I think we said if you could send Christian your guys' curriculum, your cohort curriculums, that would also help for us to kind of see what you guys are doing as far as your topics, your trainings. That'll also support Ivan as well as he designs his academy as well, to kind of in context of what you guys are training and doing the learning with residents, community members. You can also use that as another way to design his curriculum.
Awesome. Well, glad to hang out with you all today. We'll get really practical. And I have if you didn't get, so one, make sure I sent out the notes. Everybody should pull up that email in the Google Doc. If you didn't, does anybody need the hard copy? But really open up the email because all the links are there. There's a lot of links, a lot of resources. But I really designed this coming workshop to be very user-friendly. We're really just going to walk step by step. I'm going to show you examples. I've created some templates for you, so I think it'll be really practical. And yeah, you should have a really have some good takeaways. But first, take out this piece of paper. So you should have a blank piece of paper. If you need one, I have more here. Put your hand on it. Penetration, yeah.
These are more important part of the craft.
I need some markers, yeah.
Are we drawing on our hands?
I need to crack in yours. There is what's Hey, so you should have your hand on here. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I'll give you about 5 minutes. And what I want you to do is you see these descriptors here on the screen. Let me go ahead and just throw these up full screen, a little bigger. So what I want you to do is on your hand, on the thumb, write what you're good at. So you'll just, turn it sideways or however it helps you. But what are you good at on your thumb? On your index finger, what direction are you headed, right? So think about this finger, direction, where are you headed? What's a goal, an aspiration that you have? On your middle finger, what gets on your nerves? What's a pet peeve that drives you nuts? A ring, what are you committed to? What's something in your life you're committed to? And on your pinky finger, what's a little known fact about you? All right.
One thing for each finger.
One thing for each finger. Yep. So I'll give you, about 3 minutes or so to fill that out, and then I'll have you discuss it. But I'll go ahead and give you 3 minutes. So spend some time. All right, another minute. All right. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to stand up and find somebody you know the least in the room and partner up with them and share your hand. All right, so find somebody you know the least, partner up with them and share your hand. You're gonna need to stand up.
Yeah, but look at that. I just don't want to be like, here, there.
I got some. Good. How are you doing? How are you doing? I bought a ticket to the party. Well, for now, I need to figure out. We're gonna have sports that we need to go back and forth for. There's something else happening that day too. Yeah. I was just worried, am I gonna be the only white guy there? He ain't coming. This is on record. I'm being recorded, so I. Jason, this will be free. All right, so Christian, so we either go with something like this. So I'm looking to buy a new chair.
Oh, for chairs here?
Yeah. So you got like a mesh. You could either do armrest or not.
Okay.
Or then they also have like a stackable. Like this. This has rollers.
Yeah.
So it's more expensive, but armchair or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people care about the rollers. I mean, maybe it's kind of nice. I don't know.
I care about the rollers.
You do? You like it?
Yes.
Okay. People like the rollers.
I like the rollers.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the armrests are needed.
No armrests. Yeah. They take up more space and hit tables. Yeah.
But when are you thinking of ordering?
I haven't.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was like, we'll probably ask his staff too.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
feel like those of us who fight for certain spots.
Yeah. What I think I'm gonna do is just get 16 of them. So our like square setup or rectangle setup, everyone would have one, and then we keep the rollers here.
Okay.
And then like maybe one stack. So maybe there's 2 extra stacks of all the rollers, 1 stack of 5 of those. So it's like if you really need to jam people in.
Yeah.
But the everyday setup would be different.
Okay.
I haven't been able to find the blue chairs. Like I
Oh.
haven't been able to find ideally if we could find that, it'd be great. Just buy those, but buy 10 more of them or whatever.
I mean, they've been here, right? So.
Yeah. Phil said he got them for free from somebody. So it's like I haven't been able to find them. One more minute, one more minute. Make sure you switch. I may have you write on the board in a little bit, not after this, but what they want to get out of it,
Okay.
what they want to map. All right, give your partner a high five and return to your seat. Or a bump. So one, obviously this is an activity you can do anytime you gather residents. Very easy, doesn't require a ton of pre-work or a lot of stuff. You just gotta have a slide and instructions. Anything you want to share that you learned about your partner? Yeah.
My partner.
Say their name and.
Yvonne, I was gonna say Yvonne, I'm sorry. Yvonne sat next to Cardi B at a restaurant.
I got a photo. I have to see it though.
Was that your little known fact? Or
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. What else?
Sorry, first I saw was the similarities.
Who was that?
Michael Jackson, not Jackson, Keaton neighborhood, and just similarities of both our goals. And just I told them like merging two hands.
Yeah.
With multiple gifts and talents and capturing the next generation to show them what they can and what an example to them. So that was pretty cool. That's to see like if we merge hands together, they would see even stronger. So it's good.
Maybe one more, yeah.
Yeah, me and Pedro have a lot in common. We only got through 2 fingers, but we both like psychology, both like making the most out of ourselves and helping other people do the same.
That's why you guys are going real deep. So a lot of processing. That's cool. And I think again, right, these are simple questions, but even the thing we've been talking about is asset-based framework, right? This is an asset-based framework. In a very short moment, you get to find passions and fun. And so really good. So I'd encourage you use this as a resource. And I can send the slides or whatever later if that's helpful. I pulled this. I'm part of something that Fresno Unified is doing, and this was one of their tools. All right, as we start today, so for those of you that were not a part of our other training, what we did in the first level of this was I passed on a bunch of resources. So if you're looking to understand a neighborhood, there's a lot of different layers to that. Part of it, and one of the easiest first passes is to start with data. So what are the places you can go to find resources? I'll make sure we share this out again. But ENP over the years has put together these data sheets. And so I shared some of the places I found to be very helpful, and I walked through, and together we walked through how to go to those websites, how to pull down that information, and just kind of walk through it. So we went through the main one I talked about was Census Reporter, where you can look really specifically at, a zip code or what's called a block group, which is how the census organizes its information. So you can get information about income and race, language spoken in the home, education. All those are really helpful as you're writing reports, as you're trying to understand, man, our outreach strategy, it looks like in this block group, like 30% of folks don't speak English. And not only is it not English, it's a Southeast Asian community. And so, if our outreach strategy doesn't include a partner to engage that population, we're going to miss 30% of the neighborhood. So just being thoughtful about that kind of stuff. Same with the walkability of the neighborhood, or these are some health kind of screening data stuff. And then I added just some additional resources on kind of how we've put that together. So we're not going to go back into that, but I can share that again as a resource. What we heard from that was awesome. I love that. I would like to actually take the data that I have and now put it onto a map. And so that's really our goal today. So just kind of an intro question, and maybe Christian, would you write it on the board? What are your hopes for today? And then what type of layers or data would you like to map? So I'd love to hear, Christian can write it on the board. What are your hopes for today? And then what kind of data or kind of layers to a map would you love to be able to add to a map? So, and then just throw it out. Christian can write it up there.
Question 2, what was it?
What layer, what data? Just, man, kind of put data. No hopes for today. Wow.
Would data be like the similarities that everybody had in common? When we were out?
It could be, I mean, it could be anything you want to know. I want to know like poverty rates in our neighborhood, or I want to know, I want to be able to map a survey we did, or it could be anything. Sylvia?
Educational background.
Educational background, educational levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
For the data, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of this I can do some research, or as I'm going, I can maybe show you, right, how to do some of it.
What you said about the surveys, categorizing the surveys, because right now we're trying to do a follow-up on the traffic safety survey we did from a year ago, so we're trying to go back and follow up. So knowing that information and being able to map that would be good.
Yeah.
Comparing a year ago and now.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else? Any other hopes?
What do you hope to get from today, from this training?
I'm just here to learn something because I wasn't in the first one.
Okay, yeah, that's valid.
Mapping the addresses,
Mm.
people based on that. Basically, who goes to association meetings and who we still need to reach out to.
Yeah.
And then where it's those houses.
Great. Yep.
Or that's what we would. I remember in August, I think we did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Also, while mapping their interest.
Interest. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Because then you can center like trainings around that. So,
Yeah.
like you have a lot of people who are interested in cooking,
Yep.
which I'm finding
Yeah.
a lot of in my community. That a lot of people love to cook.
Yeah.
And so doing like a cooking class or
Yes.
nutrition
Yeah.
class would be beneficial.
Cool.
So being able to get that on a map.
Yeah.
To see that would be awesome.
Cool.
That's great. My hopes for today, I'm actually super excited that you all are gonna learn how to do this. Like, I've done it previously and it is a little time consuming. It's a little bit of learning curve. So it's great that we're learning together. Super excited that you guys all learn this skill. So I really encourage all of you, even the EDs, like try to draw, try to upload. Like, even if you won't be doing it, someone else will, at least like you've gone through the steps to kind of understand it.
Also, my hopes is continue to be a change, not get something that's be inspired from this meeting and training, but just go out and just apply everything that we learn. So we take notes, hear it, but also apply it ourselves.
Yeah.
That way we continue to have more advantages and opportunities to each other out there and do like outreach, because each other in our communities might have a relative that lives in each other hubs there, and then you might see that when it happens. It's like, I know Christian, I know Carissa.
Yeah.
And it just continues to bring a more admirable to bring more community and be involved.
Cool. That's good. I love that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You
No,
first.
that's okay, go ahead.
No, you.
Okay, we'll go back and forth. This is what I would like to have at the end. This is what you showed us in August.
Yeah.
This is what I'm gonna throw before.
Yeah.
Where it's the demographics of the neighborhood. Because it'd be nice to give something to a new resident or even the current residents, like this is what's in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're a little broad area, but it would be nice to have like these different demographics, career, community wellness, things like that.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to connect the dots on like where some of the kind of famous people that came from Fresno, where they were born, to kind of show children and kind of so children can look up to like, oh, it's right around in my neighborhood. I was reading a biography of this billionaire Kirk Kerkorian that's from Fresno, but he was like a low-key billionaire.
Yeah.
And he like made Vegas what it is today.
Yeah.
And so if kids knew that he was right around the corner and he grew up, right around the corner, they'd be inspired.
That's cool. That's good. Awesome. Well, some of those we'll get to, and some of those I can do some research for you, or we can figure out how to integrate. So just as we start, so again, this is gonna be very practical. So I'm gonna say, here, go here, and we're all gonna do it slowly together. So this is a stop me. And maybe like, if Edmond or Ivan or Christian, you all can walk around too and just make sure folks are on the right tab or page, or, just troubleshoot together. That would be really helpful. As we start, I did want to put a term out there. So one of the things you're going to see is this term GIS. Would somebody read that paragraph under terms? It says GIS. Would somebody read that?
Stands for Geographic Information System, and it's a computer-based tool that allows you to visualize, analyze, and interpret data in a special context. In simple terms, it's a way of mapping and understanding the world around us. Google Mind Map using AML file.
So you can go so deep into this, right? This is like Nerdyville, you go really deep. Main idea is anytime you see GIS, think maps. GIS equals maps. So I would just make sure you put those two things together. We're going to go really simple with Google My Maps. So Google My Maps, basically Google took the GIS world and said, how could we make this really user friendly? And so they really stripped it down. So you can pay for other softwares, other platforms. The city doesn't use Google My Maps, but they share their GIS files with the world. So we're going to go into that later, where I'm going to show you how you can download a parks layer, you can download the streets layer, you can download the trash pickup layer, right? And put it into your own map. So I'll show you how to do that, and we'll go through that together. But just think again, GIS is mapping. And then the main thing we'll talk about as we go through it is Google Maps. For their GIS, they use what's called KML files. So think like a PDF or a Word doc. The .kml is what Google My Maps uses. So that's really technical, but as you don't need to know much more than that to use this. That's really it. That's the nerdy stuff. That is basic to this process. So Sarah, you had a question?
That was my question.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here's what I want you to do. First, open up Google My Maps. So you got a link there. Go ahead and open it up. You should see something like this. You probably don't have maps. Does anybody have a map that they created on their own yet? So if you open Google My Maps, yes, you can see, again, I like this. This is the world that EMP swims in. We think maps and neighborhoods, and it's just a way to understand the problems and the things around us. It's a way to tell a story too. So what I want you to go ahead and do is create a new map. So click that red button at the top left, create a new map.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Red button on your left. And then it should open up something that looks similar to this. Right? So it's maybe zoomed out. Is it the whole world? Okay. So you can zoom into Fresno if you want. But what I want you to do, so what you see here, just I'll kind of point out some of the things that are happening here. So it looks like, just like if you go to Google Maps, right, it looks similar. I want you to start with giving your map a name. So whatever you want to put, Alta map, Webster map. So you click this top area right here. So right here, I've named this one Drive Demo Map. And when you click that, you can get an option to put a description in there, right? If you want to do that, you can, but you don't need to necessarily. Are we all there? Okay. So then what you see here right away is, this is what makes this, where you can customize, you can add layers. So if you see here, you have one layer already, that probably says untitled, is that what your guys says?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an untitled layer, but you can add more layers. I think, I need to look it up again. I think with Google Maps, you can have up to 8 layers. So you can have up to 8 layers of information, and you see right here, each of these has a check mark. So you can turn them on and off. So one of your layers can be the map boundaries of elementary schools in Fresno. You can turn that layer on, turn it off, right? What I want to do is I want to first start us off by trying to put in some information. What I will first do here is demonstrate it. So watch me as I do this process. And then we'll try and do it together and try and troubleshoot that. Because what this allows you to do is you can import anything. And so you can see on step 1, it says you can import Google Sheets, Excel files, and KML files. So what that means is you can bring out inside any data from Google or Excel or a sheet or a KML file. You can bring that into your own map. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. Lilia, I'm using your information as an example. So I took Lilia's survey information that she did. So this was all the responses on their learning conversations. And what I did is I just made sure the address column had Fresno in it. So if it doesn't, what happens is you pull it into Google My Maps and it'll, like, if there's a 807th Street in Kentucky, it'll put the location in Kentucky, right? So you need to make sure it's a complete address. But once you do that, you can bring that information into Google Maps. I did run into a catch. I will just note this. A lot of these answers, the headers were too big. And so Google said there's too much words in these headers. So when I created an import version, I just really simplified the headers. So you will run into issues like that. But what I'm just going to show you is, this is a Google Sheet. And so what I'm going to do is go to this map and I'm going to click import. So if I had the file downloaded, I can use that version. I already have it in my Google Drive. So I'm just going to go ahead and click import. And what Google already did that fast is it says, here's all your headers. And so the first thing you have to determine is what will be your place markers. Where should we put the dot? So what are we going to put the dot? The address, right? So it's going to be the address. So we're going to put the address there. And then what column do we want our titles to be? Because we have names, I'm just go ahead and put the name, right? So the name of the person. I could also do address if I wanted, but I'm going to go do name. And then what Google is doing is taking that spreadsheet and they already mapped it.
Question, so when you can only do one box at a time, check one box at a time to do it, or when you select it?
You can only do, they only want one address marker and one title.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's already up there. We already have. These are all the folks that are on this Google spreadsheet. And you can see when you click in, so we can go in obviously really close and see. If I click here, we can see Araceli Alfonso filled it out. Here's all the information from the spreadsheet that she submitted and went in. And I can see where they are at, the location, it mapped it all already, which that in of itself is awesome, right? So that's super cool. It's all there. You can also begin to customize it. So I think it was Sarah, maybe Sylvia was talking about, Sylvia was talking about by issue. So I just I went into Lilia's data and I just added a column and said, oh, what issue did they care about? So I added animals, green space, job opportunities, and safety. These are just made up. But that's a column now that I actually can begin to filter this data by. So you can just have all the information here and you can have it be uniform in the style. So this is like the style. You can format it by, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to format it by the issue. And what Google will do is it'll create, and you can change these colors, but anyone that was green, it cares about safety. I can change the colors here. Job opportunities, let's go, I'll just make these a little more distinct here. So I can now see by color what issue they cared about. So not only do I have the markers there, I can filter the data on a map to, create the different things I care about. You can style it by any question. So do they want to, would they attend a meeting? You can do yes or no on those things. You can go down any style. You can change your marker too, of course. So it could be any color that you like. You can change it to, any type. They have tons of icons here. Skiing, you want to have skiers. So you can change it by any type of icon. So the look and the colors can all shift. So that's the quick import. So here's what I'd love to now do is I'd love for you to try and import some data.
You're doing an excellent job. I got a question though. It seems like if we don't set up our Excel correctly, so can you show more of that? Because that seems like.
You should have read Christian's email.
No. No.
Can somebody say yes?
No, this is what I'm saying. All right, maybe I didn't read it.
The first episode.
No. I did read it about having it together, but you said I had to go in there and change the headers, right? That's what I'm talking about.
So
I'm talking about the headers.
Yeah.
Yes. So
And like the video that I sent out was just the address column, so super simple. So like right now, I'm just showing you above and beyond, and what you guys can do now, right? Like you can take a whole spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Just make sure those addresses are still the same and then import it. But, right, he said you have to change. I would take the one-on-one conversation to make a copy, right? So you can edit everything. So like change the headers.
And that's what I did. So
For the Google, you gotta sync.
So what I did here is I took this tab that said the form responses, I duplicated it, and then I created Google's going to import your first tab,
Right.
whatever the first tab is. So then I changed all the headers, and I made sure like when Lilia's team put in information, they didn't have Fresno, California in there. So I made sure to do that.
That's all I was.
Yeah. I'm just heckling you.
So we kind of have the same question. For those, we have some residents that have either no address or they put, whoever was the interviewer put like between 4th and 5th and Peru and this one. So that any kind of information, we just take that out completely and just decide.
Hold-
Like there's no address on.
Hold on, this is an important question. So important question. If you don't, we can demo it. But what will happen is, let's say you import 10 names, they don't have an address.
Yeah.
Or you import them and the address is bad.
Yeah. So it's like no-
Google will say there's 10 errors
Oh, okay.
in your file. It'll map everybody else, but it'll say it's bad, it's
Okay, so
broken.
it's just go back and try to.
Yeah. Yeah, so you always, data's king, so what you're importing has to be as clean as possible.
Because in our data set, some of our residents, they feel comfortable giving their
Yeah.
addresses, so they would just say like, Webster Elementary or this or that. And I didn't edit those out because I didn't know which address wanted us to be in, but it seems like it filled it out and just like looked over those.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
or should
Oh,
I go
yeah.
out and edit it?
Yeah, and you can always give an address to it, so
Uh-huh.
you could, anybody that didn't want it, you just
Yeah.
put it at Webster Elementary,
Okay.
put in Webster's address. So at least they're on the map.
I know,
you know.
mention them to
Yeah.
that, okay.
So what I want you to do now is I want you to open up a Google Sheet that you have. Again, it could be very different. So like, for example, Church Fresno. I got a data set from ESA Love Inc. They're a local organization here in town. And they gave me this map or this spreadsheet, and they said, hey, here's all the churches we know in Fresno. Obviously there's way more, but they said, here's all the churches. I could take this and import that into Google Maps, and now I have a visual map of all the churches. So as I'm thinking about partners in a community, I now know, oh, I could reach out to these churches and talk to them. So I want you to open up a Google Sheet. And then what I want you to do is go to your map and try the import function.
If you have Excel, you can use Excel.
And Excel works too. So when you go again here, so right here says add layer. When you go to import, it'll give you the option to import an Excel file right here. Select from your device. Or you can, have it in the sheet.
If you don't have Microsoft Word on your computer.
Yeah, Google Sheets work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Oh, there you go. Oh, if you want me- oh, there you go. That's it. Mhm. And then, Michael is editing, adding the. Import. So you will click import right now.
And you can just do 10, like, I think
Oh, yeah, Michael, you can.
Okay, exactly.
So yeah, once it's ready, then like.
even if your data doesn't have the Fresno, just try and import it and see what happens. This is about trial and error.
We're just doing the first. Or you want to open another one and add another layer? 'Cause I
No,
know-
that's great, yeah.
I just was shooting.
Yeah,
already.
so
Okay,
at
so we're caught up.
least you're going through the steps, Which that's the whole idea for today.
This is trial and error. Just give it a shot.
¿Cómo va? Okay. Oh, ya la importaron, okay.
Presidents.
Yeah.
You know who's president.
So if you got data in, I would love for you to try and customize your style. So go to this little paint icon, the roller icon, and mess around with changing it by sequence of numbers or individual styles. You can change it by the dates.
Oh, sorry.
So here's an example. The nice thing about using Google,
Even if you want to open up the sheet first.
we did a EMP partnered with neighborhood industries during COVID to get rid of a lot of food boxes.
Those are just bad.
Oh, okay.
It just overworks.
So we styled one of the data that we imported was how many boxes were given out. So we styled the count by styled the information by count. So then you can see the lighter, the less boxes, the darker, the more boxes. So you can, and Google quickly did that themselves. So we could change it to whatever color or style or information we wanted. So mess around with this, how to style it.
Oh, that's right. So it would be, what tab is it? Is it the first one? Okay, then try, select the second one. To go back to the graph, to the next. Are you ready for it? So you can. Put it in.
Okay, you guys try and
Just go
import.
back to that part.
Oh, my bad, share it with me, but I didn't get the update.
So at the top, right?
I was trying to-
So yeah, go ahead and just select number two.
Oh, so that, okay,
Because I think this is like the complete one.
yes.
So that would
Oh,
be just like number two. Oops, we're having trouble finding the locations that you picked the correct columns. Keep going down. Okay, from that spreadsheet, make this its own. We'll make this a new spreadsheet.
Oh, it changed.
Why does it say that? Why does it say that? Okay, let me see your spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So like.
I don't know what it's separated from now.
So now move that sheet over. So it needs to be the first sheet. So now go back to your map
Yeah.
and like save it or. So now go ahead.
I need you to do this, and I'll go to.
And now go to add layer or import. Sorry.
Oh, that's what Oscar was looking at.
Okay, so now that has one.
So now your address to be the place marker.
Okay.
You continue. And then to.
Oh, I see where Oscar was now. I see where. It's on that, that's why I pulled up the.
Once
I
it's
think you're,
on,
you think you got it right.
yeah, you just had to zoom it up.
Zoom in, huh?
Zoom in.
Yeah.
What do you
Oh,
think?
there I see the little.
So now we can understand.
little school. I thought I was.
You guys have.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll go back.
What are you writing?
Because I just made, I added a tab to the neighborhood, but it didn't pick up the address.
Did it, was that the first tab on that one?
No, it was the third one, but when I selected the third, it ran into like the issue.
Okay, if you move that over to the first tab.
Yeah, I was in the first tab. So I
Oh.
was like, okay, why is this? So I'm just.
Okay, and we're gonna need your help. Have you seen
Do you see kind of what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It said there that just a bunch of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, they were, but it's not.
The majority of them don't, so obviously. The value
Oh.
should be colored.
Oh,
Does it, right?
Okay.
So all the ones without. That's great. You see what I'm saying? So all the ones with the zip.
No, it's just a few
Color.
Oh.
15. All the ones without.
So even if their address.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you have?
What I want to say, there's no other.
What did you have?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Check it down. This one.
That's what it's from here.
I'm in the 03 area.
Oh, where you live? Oh, okay.
And then next year, where it becomes.
We're having trouble finding those.
Address 1971? No. Yeah, area code, yeah, 1971. Area code. No. Zip code. Area code.
We're opening up the Excel file. It might be that they need to add, right, that's just.
Yeah.
With the Fresno.
Yes. How we doing? How we doing? Oh, look, we got that.
We're doing.
Oh, okay.
So when you went to no,
Where did you save your file? Or where did you
so
save?
sometimes I go down.
It's easier.
Do I have? Are you saying to the document?
See the Thomas ones over here. The ones we just did. Yeah.
Because
We're gonna have one over here. in the- What's it called?
So it was asset mapping.
That's still.
Okay, go ahead, tell me. Pass it up.
That's already even, we have a lot of right there.
Nope.
Your keyword.
Let me see. What did you say? Oh, why are you freeze? Alright. Okay,
Over here.
Alright.
There's some over there?
Yeah. Barely though.
Search it.
Let's see, a lot of people just- that might come from the address that they use. Or might not be-
Maybe it's in there.
It might be like their address, like grandma,
Right.
it's like, yeah, they just think it's.
They just like-
Yeah.
That's true. because-
That's happening.
The ones that are right.
Keeping up your garage.
Yeah. Right. So the first 3 years I was here, my driveway was a cell phone. I reduced my own.
What?
Did you get your mail from that way or?
Well, I got my driver's license, you know, I feel like as a service.
Okay, I'm gonna go profile search. I don't know.
I think, if I had a guess, it's because there's too many restrictions. You know, you saw that data set, it's all clean.
Yeah.
So.
Back to my original question.
You went right to it.
Yeah.
You gotta send it up. You have to read the right one, like,
I think.
Go back to your.
This was importing from the Google Sheet, that learning conversations form. All right, so let me do this. Let's take a little break, and I want to kind of, regardless of where you're at, some of us are still having some import issues. Again, what you're gonna see is if the data is not clean and there's no gaps, like, you know, I think one of our folks, there's spaces in the columns or missing data. So you can just start, you gotta start with a clean data set. So that's gonna be one issue to work on and to make sure you have ready to go. Once again, you have information in, you can stylize by the type of information. What I wanna show you as well is when you're on a layer, and especially a layer that has a bunch of data, you can add new columns to this data. So you can go back into Google or Excel, add a column, re-import. You can also start to add a column. So let's say, for example, we want a column to add that says, did we follow up with them? So like, these are the people, and we're gonna do a follow-up column. So I can insert a column, and I'm gonna name the column follow up. And then I'm just gonna put an X next to people I followed up with. And so I know, yes, I've talked to this person again, you know, and I had a conversation with them again. So let's just say that's an example. I added this column. I can now go back and filter the data based on that column. So again, I can group by follow-up. And everybody here that I followed up with is now in purple or whatever. And everybody that I haven't followed up with is gray. So you can always change back and forth based on filters. So this is helpful to track, to visualize who came to an event. That can be a column that you could then say, yes, they came to an event. And you now, filter your data, your map based on that information.
So where you put the X mark, check marks, for if we upload it from our spreadsheet, we have check boxes,
Those will import too. Yeah. You probably want to do this just in your Google Sheet or your Excel file and then re-import it. I would probably just do that. That way you keep your data fresh and clean. You can export this though too. So you could do a bunch of changes in Google My Maps and then export that and now edit it in Google Sheets or Excel. So as long as you're clear about which way you're going back and forth. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to help you also figure out how to add other layers. So you have your data here, but there's a lot of other data that you have access to. So this one doesn't take, if you click on the link in your Google folder, you have a link here to something called map layers. So you see this on the Google Sheet, step 3, map layers, open that up. I put in 5 layers that could be helpful for you. So layer 1 is the concentrated poverty ratings of our neighborhoods. Layer 2 is our census tract. So you know what census tracts are in your area. I put a church layer. I put the city council layer. And then I also put Fresno Unified Elementary School layer. So these are the geographic boundaries of the elementary school. So why don't you go ahead and download this elementary school layer? So download it on your computer. And what type of file is this? KML, right?
Can you show us how you got there again?
Yes, yep, yeah. So this is from the Google Sheet, Mapping Your Hood 2.0. And then there's under step 3, click that map layers. It takes you to a Google folder. Has everybody downloaded the Fresno Unified Elementary School layer? All right, when you got it, give me a thumbs up. Okay, Martin Park's ready. I'll wait till you guys get that downloaded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Did you get the folder?
That's just what it downloaded. That's information it's gonna put into maps.
So now go back to maps.
Yeah, just go back to your maps page and we're gonna import all that and then it'll do it behind the scenes. That's just what the computer needs to put the layer on the map. That's like. Stuff.
Go to the maps. How do I get out of this or?
You're fine right there. Just go, does it scroll up so you can add a layer? Because that's what we're gonna end up doing.
Are you guys able to download it?
It says, how do I? This is what mine looks like.
Oh, maybe
It's
switch
already-
over.
it's not here.
If you put it
Yeah,
in,
you used to have that
download it
too.
or another way,
You used to have it,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we go ahead.
Yeah, right. Comment.
It's like, you can like try copying 10 of them or 5 of them and do the complete access and then upload it so you can like.
Oh. yeah.
computer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a right click.
Did this when I tried to open it.
You don't want to open it. Yeah, so just download it. And then we're gonna import that as a layer. So we're gonna go back to the iMap.
By that, this is something complete, we're good.
Just trying to connect.
All right, so once you get that downloaded, follow me here. If you go to your map. So we're here on the map, right? We want to add a new layer. So I'm gonna delete this one. Really delete? But go click add new layer. And then we go to import. You got to find that file you downloaded. Mine's on my desktop, but wherever you downloads folder. So I'm going to click open. Now it's uploading. And what you'll see now is we have the layer. So this is the Fresno Unified map layer. Each one of these, and what you'll see here is it's now a new layer on the side. Again, you have a check mark next to it. So if you click that check mark, it would turn that layer off. If you click it, it turns it back on. You can rename these layers. So I'm going to call it Fresno Unified School District Elementary.
Those are just elementaries.
These are just elementaries. What you see is you can click on any of the boxes and it'll tell you that school. So that's Heaton Elementary. Let me zoom in here.
Yes.
And again, you can mess with the styles. So I can have this be uniform. It's one color. I can have it be by name. So each color is different. If you click on the paintbrush, you can change the settings. A layer like this, you can have it be filled in or blank. You can have a border or have it be blank. So download it and then you go to your map.
So once it's downloaded.
That's your map.
And then you go back to import.
Again, mess around with the styling of it.
Key and out file, or you just want me to read it, so. Upload. And there we go, right? And so what he was saying is you can turn off the layer right here. And then we'll rename it.
Questions looking at this layer?
Rename this layer.
Any questions?
FBSD.
So again, on this bucket here, if you hover over the map, you can change the color of the lines.
Yeah.
You can change the border, how thick you want it. Do you want it to be transparent or you want it to be filled in? So how EMP has used this map in the past too is we'll create a layer and then we'll turn it on and off if we have programming there.
So we can also change this color like it's around it. And then put everything on the map, right?
If you go here where it says all items, you can change the color down here.
Yes.
So if you go change, I would call the change individual styles.
Oh, okay.
So change that to,
So you see that, right? So like,
change it to uniform.
yes.
So I'm gonna try to.
And then now
Oh.
Okay, so put that again.
So you need to change every layer to that uniform.
Yeah, or you can go into each box and change individually if you really wanted to.
And you want to do the one, you move this. the bottom. There you go. And then this-
All right, so let me show you. So I gave you how to do, I already gave you those layers. You have these layers already with you. If you would open the Google Maps link again and click the City of Fresno link.
Oh, for the school?
So click this City of Fresno link.
No, not this one. This is from Google itself.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Actually, what color do you want? Oh, never mind. Yeah, no. So it's like the boundary and the shade.
So go ahead and click this City of Fresno GIS layer. So go ahead and pause. Move on to this next section here. I want you to,
Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. That's correct.
on the, what is this? Still step 3.
So in my video, it was like, just put the address in Fresno, California. So later on, you can just take off the address.
Oh, okay, but is that why it's coming up gray? Because those are the ones that don't have a zip, but no other lines?
It's probably like not reading it correctly. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, so what is GIS again? What does GIS mean? Maps. GIS means map. So the City of Fresno also has stuff that you can just download. So this comes out of like the planning department. They have a bunch of layers. They have, if you go to this webpage, I just Google it, GIS mapping. You'll see you can explore all the layers. So you can explore all the layers. We'll do that in a little bit. They have them by category. So do you want to know about boundaries, safety, all that kind of stuff? And then the city also has some web apps that are like, you don't have to use Google Maps, just use these, right? So it's like you want to try and figure out which council district you're in. You know, you just click that link, it'll open up a GIS map and you can type in your address and it'll tell you which council district you're in. So I'll put my address in. So this is just like an app that the city has where you can figure out your information. What I want you to do is go up under, so under this intro picture, click this explore all layers link. So click under find data, click explore all layers. And they have 55 different layers you can download and import. So this is what I want you to do is find with me the parks one. Let's download the parks map. So you got existing land use, general plan, planned use, facts, bus routes, bus stops, parcels, city limits, zoning, addresses, and we came to parks. You can also search parks.
Yeah, you can also search parks. But I feel like this is really good.
It's helpful. It's helpful to see all that. I mean, they have, if you keep going down, they got daycares, council districts, right? So it's really interesting information. Let's go to parks, click parks. And this will give you information over here. So, right, this was last updated November 8th, 2022. So you can see how recent it was. You can see here on the left, it says there's 81 records. So that means you're going to import 81 different parks of what the city says is a park, right? So click here to download. And then again, what type of file? KML. You could do a CSV, but we're using KML. Like a shape file, it's a heavier duty. We can't use that. Google Maps does not use that. So let's download the KML. So same process. You go over now back to your map. So you go add layer.
learning together, y'all.
Yeah,
We're all
getting
struggling
it.
together.
And then an import. Find that file you just downloaded, Parks. All right, so again, you can mess with the type of everything. So you can, I'm gonna turn off the boundaries. Turn on the parks.
Are you able to select just your part on the site or just?
No, you would have to.
You'd have to delete them all, yeah,
on there,
manually,
like,
yeah.
once it's already uploaded to the Google Maps.
So here's what I'm gonna do. Follow me with this. So as I look at this little red line isn't very helpful to me, right? Like I need to see it stronger. So what I wanna do is I wanna change the style to be filled in green, right? So go to individual styles. We're gonna change this to be uniform.
Okay, and so he's saying individual styles.
So go, when you're looking at that layer now, individual styles, we're gonna go to uniform. And I want the label to be the name, park name. So now if you can see, we now added names. So that's nice, but I still don't want like a light blue. So I'm gonna click here now, and I'm gonna click this little paint bucket. And I'm gonna change it to green. And I'm gonna take and make it a lot bolder here. I'm gonna change the border. And I'm gonna change the color to be solid green. So I'm changing the polygon transparency and the border width. And I'm having it green. So now you can see when you zoom out a bit, those green parks are a lot clearer and they have a name, which is nice. So again, those are filters and ways to organize your data that just make your map clear. And again, I can turn parks off and on. So I don't always have to look at it or see it. I can turn it on and off as I want. Another thing you can do in your map, if you click here, see this base map? Right here, it says base map. Click that little down arrow. You can change what your map looks like. Do you want something really minimalist?
Can you, and I'm sorry, can you try to zoom into your screen? As you're doing, oh, okay, it doesn't make. No, not the map itself. Like.
Oh, just like this, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, you guys, I think you should be able to see it clearly now.
Okay, so again, let me just go show you how I changed the map. Look like what the map looks like. If you click here, it says base map. Bottom left, you have to scroll all the way down. And then you can change, do you want like all the information? You want it to be, like a satellite image, which, I use that a lot too, because I can see what the neighborhood looks like. Do you want it? What is this called? Simple Atlas. So each of these have some benefits or plus or minus. So this one's really, both of these are really minimalist kind of styles. But you may want to have the more of the satellite look, right? So you can turn these on and off again. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you one more task and then we're going to wrap. So one thing I want to add is a boundary. I want to create my own boundary just to mark out an area of so let's say we're Familias en Acción. We're going to just hit one in our whole neighborhood. We're just going to do one outreach and we're just going to hit this area. So go ahead and join with me. Click these 3 dot things. It says draw a line. And then you can see here, you can add driving directions, a biking route or a walking route. We're just going to stay with add a line and a shape. But you click add a line and a shape and your marker now has a dot on it. It's hard to see, but so if you click once, you'll see now I've added a little dot and I can drag and there's a little box coming after it. So we're going to do our outreach from this area. Just draw a simple box or shape from here. I'm going to go on Lowell to Hazelwood. And once you connect back at your original box, it'll change and you can create your own. Now I have a shape. I did this one on the parks layer. I can tell now because it has all the park information. So I'm actually going to delete it. I don't want it to be on the parks layer. I'm going to create a new layer. So I'm going to do it again, add a line. We're going to go here. So if you you can, anytime you click on it, you get this little delete. So if you click on that box you created, you'll get a little delete button. And then I added a new layer that I added that box to. How's the boxing going?
Okay, so let's go to yours.
So I want to keep the box, but I still have that little guy. See how it's going.
So I'll just do
Let's say like, let's.
So there's, but there's no way to like highlight just the school within your neighborhood, right?
Yes, so you can always add another layer.
Okay.
So the layers are, think about each of these, any layer can have as much information or as little as you want. So you can do this where you say, I'm gonna do Winchell because we're in the Winchell area. I'm Googling in this little search window, Winchell. And then I can add that to a map. So now that's gonna be you can see now I have my box and I have Winchell School. And
The streets around, you can't color outline.
yeah, you could. I could add a box around it.
Oh, okay.
So I could go in and say, let's add a box around the school. You know, right here, 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 here.
Okay, so go ahead, because it's, so like, when you guys are doing this, the least busy the map is, I think the easier it is to draw.
Yes, yeah.
So I would turn off the layers, right, any layers that you don't.
I typically, when I'm creating stuff like this, I'm working on one layer at a time.
Yeah,
Turn everything else off.
so like, even with this, right, like with your addresses, I would turn that off, and then it's like, all right. So you're here, where would you say you would want to?
And again, you can create layers. You can have each one be styled all the same, or you can have each one be different. So let's say for Winchell, I want it to be a blue outline and I want a border, but I don't want it to be filled in. So now I have a blue outline and it's not filled in. Right, or you could have them, and then, you know, our outreach area over here, I want it to be filled in red. And with that like slight transparency, I like that, you know, so.
Little marker, how do you change the marker again?
Yes, so you click the little paint button. So like that, let's do a little school, right? You know. So you can just keep adding as many layers as you want. So you can have a layer that has your resident data that you turn on and off. And then you can have a layer that has like important places. You can have a layer that has current projects.
Yes.
There is a limit to layers. I think it's 8 or 10. Yeah.
Even with like, I think I'm like, how many people are coming to this right? Like, that'd be what, how many are coming to have a school program from Webster, right? Like, that's another way.
Thank you.
So how would this be used? Here's an example. If you look at number 4, let me just get to that so I can show you real quick. For your map, you can do a couple things. So you can click share. So you click that share button next to add layer. And you can see you have functions here to decide how public do you want this to be. Do you want anyone to view this? do you want people to be able to search it online? If you're adding resident data, you do not want that on, right? You don't want this to be searchable online. And then you can get the link here to share that map. So now this is a link that you can share publicly. So that was again, share. And then anybody with the link can view, you'd copy that. And then another thing you can do is if you click these 3 dots next to your name of your map, it pulls up a menu. You can print your map there, you can view it in Google Earth, or what you can do is you can embed it on your site. So if you have a website that you created a map you really like and you want it to be used by others, or it helps you tell the story of your organization, you know, that kind of a deal, you can embed that on a site. So EMP on our About Us page, we have a video, and then we actually have a Google Maps link. And this is a map, it needs to be updated, but what we decided to do is you could click on Heaton Elementary, you could see who the partnership is, the year it is established, a link to any partners and the programs that are offered at that site. So it's a public facing Google Map link. I edit it in Google My Maps, but it's public on the website, right? So that's under these 3 dots here, menu, and embed on my site. And then it gives you the what's called iframe. So you give this information to a, you know, either you do it, but this is like, you know, the embedding HTML code that you would need to put it on the website.
I may have missed this, but is like when you save something that way, is it accessible on your phone?
Yes. Yeah. And as you're on your phone, you can see your information. It's a little wonky. It's not the cleanest, but it is like, yeah. Because I've used it where like we have a map that has little free libraries that EMP helped start, and I would drive around and drop off books at those little free libraries. And so I'd use the Google My Maps map as I'm driving site to site. Yeah. All right. All right. So I think, let's see, what do I have? Let me see my time here. Okay, I have till 11. What questions, what sticking points? Now that we've done this a little bit, what kind of information would you want to map? What kind of things you're like, how would I do this? Is there any kind of questions around that? How do you imagine using this? How about that? Like, what are ways you could see yourself using this for your work?
As I can see the follow-ups, right? Like see how many follow-ups we're doing.
Yeah.
Keeping track of the, we notice the kids grow up. As the kids grow up, if we're age appropriate programming, like right now, Low CDC has spots for any 4th grader to go on this trip. Are we targeting them and saying, hey, there's this available for you?
Yeah.
If we know there's 4th graders of the families that we're engaging with, that it's not, doesn't have to be a Mar Park thing, it's a partnership to be able to utilize the grant that's out there, and that's what I'm kind of proposing right now, and this is what the follow-ups. If we follow up with all the school-age kids to get all the 4th graders that we can on the buses that are being chartered.
So if you in your data have the kids, have their addresses, and have a column that says, did we follow up? Yes, no, you could then put that on a map and see it, right?
Because you get like things like Camp Fresno.
Yeah.
Boom, just keep plugging them in, and that we already did the footwork by getting the information. Now it's time to connect it, and this is gonna help a lot because you can say, hey, did we follow up?
Can you upload photos or do it like if you want to put like a photo of like a family?
Yes. Yes. So Sarah asked, can you add photos? Let me show you how to do that. If you click here, add marker. So this is now you can drag it wherever. Again, you can always search an address. So you can either do add marker and just place it, say, on this empty, lot. And you can call it whatever, empty lot. And then you click here, add image or video. You can actually add YouTube videos. You can add, so right here, you can add a photo, or you can do a URL of an image. So maybe it's from Google itself. And then you can also do YouTube.
TikTok?
I think it's just, so for example, here's how EMP has utilized this. I'll show you another way we've used Google My Maps. We have an audio drive tour of Fresno. And we've also had folks that are like, I can't actually do it. Like, I just love to hear the audio. So we have a Google My Maps that has each address and the different routes and everything like that that are on it. And then we have ones too, like Preston's no longer with, this is the funny thing about doing something in time is people don't work for these organizations anymore. But you can see here, these are little dots on the map, and you can click and listen to any of them. So I can click here and listen to Esther Delahaye, Carver talk about Lowell CDC and housing in Fresno. So
Welcome
it's
to
an
the Lowell
embedded
neighborhood.
YouTube link.
I'm Esther Delahaye,
So that's also a great way to do
Director of the Lowell
storytelling,
Community
right? Like
Development Corporation.
if you
The Lowell
record it
community
somewhere,
is a
you could
wonderfully
share,
diverse
put all your
place, small in
stories,
size,
all your
but one
photos
of the
of
most
like,
densely
how
populated
awesome would
areas
it
in
be
Fresno.
even as like a neighborhood
The neighborhood was
association?
built 100
If
years
people wanted
ago
to share
and
their
was one of the
information, is
first
you had dots
suburbs
on
of
all these
Fresno.
houses of everybody that's involved,
Divisadero
and then you
is
clicked
our
on it, and it
southern
was an image
border
of the family.
and was the north
And
end
you're
of
like, these
town
are
in
the
those
these are
days.
the
This community was
Lopez's,
built
and
for diversity.
you, as
From
much
large
information as
estates
people want to
to
share
small
publicly, you can
bungalows,
put there,
this
right?
community was
But that
home
would
to
be an
doctors,
amazing way to
sheriffs,
kind of have a
and teachers.
directory of the neighborhood.
Plans for Highway
That'd be super
180 were made
Yeah.
in the 1960s.
All right, so that's another great use case. Any other ways you all could imagine using this or want to use it? Again, I pulled up the map of food, our food distributions. We use this in a report that we gave the city. So this was a partnership of EMP and neighborhood industries during COVID doing food boxes. The city wanted to see, where did you guys reach? Did you just serve South Fresno, or did you serve the whole community? So we're able to put this together with our information. So our information, here's the data. We had the organization, the amount of boxes that went out, the addresses, and the number of food distributions. So we put all that, imported it here into Google My Maps, and then I shared this report with the city of Fresno in our grant submission. So you can use it for reporting, because I think this tells the story maybe a little better than just a spreadsheet, or we put those both together. But for the visual person, it's like, hey, they really were thoughtful to make sure this went across the whole city, not just one area, right?
And it's just highlighting, like it has 9 different things you can do, so we can highlight 9 things that we're doing now. Instead of, sometimes some people say Martin Park's scary because you guys are like a shotgun. And all this, I'm like, man, now with the label where those shots are going. Very impactful.
We pull, and we've used other data sources. So EMP created this map recently. We had a grant on with the EPA on food access and brownfields. So we found data from the city that had information about brownfields. So these were all fields that the ground was toxic for. Maybe it was like an old auto shop that they were just like dumping oil or something, right? Like, so here's different those. And then we also hit up different restaurants or liquor stores to like, do they have food here? What kind of food is it? Is it good? So we created this map for that.
And you just found the brownfields data set, like to the city of Fresno?
Yeah, I think the Bee did an article about it and then shared the map, and then we were able to download it and put it into our own map.
And you were doing that with like food deserts?
Yeah,
or just-
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So this is a way, I think I mentioned this just to kind of show you all. This is a way I used, I did data for Little Free Libraries and the City of Fresno libraries. And also I mixed it with the neighborhood school. So if that area had a library or a Little Free Library, I turned it green. So I said yes in the data and then turned that green. So that's a way to combine multiple things.
So you see like what elementary school it is, what library it is. and
Yeah,
what
yeah,
library.
yeah. So here's, this is somebody's, Jim Lloyd has one at his house. And then, here's, yeah.
And you can keep track of like when you visit there, what you did, all
Yep.
those things.
Yeah.
It's really good for people.
Yeah.
And it can help drive your,
Yeah. Yeah.
When you, like go over a little bubble, and it has like description numbers, dark gray, all that, what's all that information? What exactly? Information we need, or like?
It's-
Towards our, outreach, is that any information like that, that's pertinent to what we do?
So that is whatever, every layer that you import, it's basically the table or the spreadsheet that you imported, it's all that information. So you can make that information as simple or as complicated as you want. So it's really up to you. You can delete a bunch of those columns if they're not helpful, but I would just do that in Google or Excel before you import it into MyMaps. Yeah, because you just want to save yourself the time of doing it. Again, we use this, Christian used this. This was a grant. We were doing some work on Kings Canyon and doing some outreach. So we created little boxes of quadrants. All right, we're going to hit quadrant 1 on this week, quadrant 2 on this week, right? So we kind of know the areas. And then we started mapping different like folks that we need to talk to or folks that we have talked to. So again, that's a way to either track or report that can be really helpful. All right. I've given you a lot. You can see here on this link as well, I linked to the Google My Maps help page. That's pretty helpful. They have, nothing, it's all just like text. They don't have any videos, but if you go to YouTube and ever like get stuck, just go to YouTube, type in something. There's a help video for it for sure. What is your, turn to a partner and talk through those last 2 questions. So what is your greatest takeaway and what are your next steps? So turn to a partner. What are your greatest takeaway? What are your next steps? The what? Yeah. It's in the current one. It's right here. Yeah. Your data that came in, you didn't use the Google, the form, the learning conversation form. And then just wrote it by hand. I would use a form because then you know you're getting, and you determine what's required or not, but yeah. All right, 30 seconds. All right, if you can hear me, clap once. If you hear me, clap twice. All right, any takeaways? Any takeaways from today, or what are your next steps?
Well, I just like the whole training because I missed the first one, so now I feel like I learned something
Yeah.
today.
Cool. It's good. And the information is here for, again, the first one, you have the notes access. And then if you ever want to, we can talk through what we covered too.
And how would you make something like this from based off this information?
Oh, man. So I will show you. That's a whole nother training. This is where, yeah, you get into the real weeds of it'll overwhelm you. And this is where I utilized an intern and volunteers to help me get all this information. So what we ended up, we started this as a demo. Would people like these data sheets? Are they helpful? So maybe Sarah, if you want to pass that around to folks that haven't seen it. And then what I did is I put in all the schools, their address, census tract. So I had interns find all this information and put it all in a spreadsheet. And then we just had a template that was like a digital template where we then put that, copy paste all that information into. So we
Digital template like free, like accessible for free or?
we use a thing called pictograph,
Oh, okay.
pictochart. So
And
yeah.
it takes all the information from your data sets and puts it.
No, you have to manually put it all
I
in.
know, I was like, I think the question is, they wanna make something like this.
Yeah.
So, like, we went over the data, the last training, right? Andrew taught us where you get certain data. But I think you guys are interested in learning how to like make
Yeah,
these
'cause
cute
this is-
graphics.
We get a lot of questions like these kind of questions from our residents and with the,
It'd be good to have a.
yeah, we can,
To
yeah,
hand those out to
Mhm.
visually
yeah.
residents to see.
Maybe the neighborhood development team needs to produce some for each person. We have them. I think they're, because I think that's what, 2018 data. I think it's 2018 data. So it's out of date.
But we're able to like make it.
We still have we still have the template and yeah, but I mean, EMP as a staff, like I designed those.
Oh.
So I did all that work, that back in my executive director days. Yeah. So what I think would be really good though, Sarah, is to say, what are the markers we want to track? So what I would start with is say, what are the markers we want to know and track of our neighborhood? And again, if you are trying to figure out where to find those, I can share, like this has the links to each of those data sets, right? Because I gave an intern here's where you find all the information, fill in every school's information for this thing. So you got to figure out what information do we want to track and know. And then, between all of us, we could tell you where to find that information. If you want to create your own version, that's a 1-pager, a half sheet, then you guys as a team need to figure out who's good at graphics and can get on Canva and do it, So, yeah. We can maybe update our data sheets for you that have that information if we wanted to do that as a neighborhood development team.
Just to share, like the last class that we had with the guy from Fresno State.
Oh, yeah.
We interviewed us and we're gonna get involved,
Oh,
so
yeah.
this is really good to give them data.
Yeah.
So when they write it up, and there's probably gonna be someone in that class that can help us
Yeah.
with a small diagram of
Yeah.
what it looks like, and also we got, what is the other one, with Stanford?
Oh, the alumni consulting.
Oh, you guys
Yeah.
applied, yeah,
We
good,
applied to that,
yeah.
and we have a follow-up on
Cool,
Friday.
good.
To see how they can help us, and I really think us bringing this to the table.
Yeah.
And then them expanding it, because they asked us what we lack in, and it's marketing and branding
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Strategic planning.
Yeah.
strategic
Yeah,
planning,
yeah.
and those are things that we went to a guy and he was gonna charge us like $50,000.
Yeah,
And we're like,
yeah.
and people were like, yeah, pay it, we need that, I'm like, no, I'm not, you know what I mean, like, but
We're
it's just.
doing that.
Yeah, no, we don't, it would have went over our head, so this Stanford opportunity is bringing a team to us. So we're hopeful that it's gonna help us as we're gonna use this, we're gonna show them this, we got this data. So it's really like get the stuff that we can get together.
Yeah.
And the opportunities, like the gentleman that came, he offered it to all of us and we reached out to him and he came to our office and then we did a Zoom meeting and now we're going into like two people are gonna write.
Do some
articles
storytelling.
about us. So
Cool.
that's pretty cool, like using the tools that EMP is adding, giving us opportunity to, and just digging in deeper, because we don't know, we don't know what we're doing, and it's just like.
We're all figuring it
Yeah,
out.
we're figuring it out. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys haven't, I guess this will be a good plug, like, connecting with Jesse, who was here last month.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Jesse,
Yeah, Jesse, right, he's one of the professors from Fresno State, he has students who he wants, like, to tell stories of Fresno, right? So like, really reach out and utilize, that's, you know, free labor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
All right, well, again, if I can be helpful to you in the process, let me know. If you get stuck or you're having a hard time importing something, let me know. We can, trial it together. Edmond or anything else to?
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, this is a lot of work, but this would be great for your final report for the drive by June. You guys